Good evening to all. My name is Vishnu R. Nair. I finished my PharmD in the year 2019. Then I worked as an assistant professor in the Department of Pharmacy Practice. Today, my topic is going to be the roles and responsibilities of a PharmD student when it comes to hospital duty. Now, hospital duty means practical knowledge. I'm not talking about your theoretical aspects, and I'm not talking about your subjects. For example, it is therapeutics, or if it is pharmacology, or if it is toxicology, or if it is any other subject. I'm not talking about that because that comes under theoretical knowledge. Even if you are studying a book, or if you are studying or reading an article, or if you are doing any kind of ward rounds or anything in the hospital, if at all you are able to do it, what are the things that you can do or you can learn for yourself? So this is the presentation, PharmD student in hospital and the challenges and responsibilities. Now, why I wrote PharmD student is because I'm not talking about an intern. Maybe there is an intern here, or maybe there is a fifth year student here, maybe there is a fourth year student here, maybe there is a person who has graduated from PharmD. Many different types of people will be here. So I believe this is for everyone. So let's go into the details. So this is actually a special disclaimer. It is easy to advise. It is difficult to get it implemented in the first place. Because I personally believe that if you have, I have seen, I'm not judging anybody, but I have seen a lot of webinars of people in which people say that, a pharmacist can do this, a clinical pharmacist can do that, etc., etc. A lot of things they say in that. But when it comes to real life, lot of things never happen. Either it is your fault, or it is the department's fault, or it is the hospital associated problem, or it is a combination of all of these things. So you know very well what is happening in your hospital, how much you are being supported as a PharmD student or an intern in your hospital, how much exposure you are getting, you know very well. So directly, I will never say what a PharmD can do. First, I will tell the challenges that you face, and then I will tell you what you can do. So that's why I wrote this quote. It is very easy to advise, but it is difficult to get it implemented. Because I can say that in my college or in my hospital, the teachers were supportive, the department was supportive, the hospital doctors were supportive. But in your hospital, maybe the scenario is not that. So it varies from person to person. The following presentation gives you my insight of challenges among PharmD students and their practical knowledge. There may be some colleges which may be functioning smoothly for PharmD students, while in others, it is a disaster. And in India, unfortunately, PharmD is a disaster in many areas. I'm not saying everybody, I cannot say that, but for many people, in fact, most of you who are listening to this may agree with me how much you know, how much practical knowledge you have, and how much your college supported you in your career. The presentation aims at understanding your problems in learning smart and methods to overcome the same. What is meant by learning smart? See, hard work and smart work are entirely different things. A donkey works hard and a horse also works hard. But it is the horse who gets value, the donkey does not get value. So if you are only oriented for marks, if you are only oriented for passing the exam, somewhere you are working hard. But it is not necessary that you get the practical knowledge in real life that you wish to apply. So I always personally believe that I don't bother what is your marks in exam, how much percentage are you a distinction holder. I'm not bothered about that. What I'm bothered about is how you can apply your knowledge in a particular scenario. No institution is bothered about your career. Please remember this. No institution is bothered about your career. It is you who has to bring the best in yourself. If you look at the amount of money your parents are investing for your tuition fees every year, that may vary from college to college, you will understand how much loss every year you are making. Because in most colleges, either that there is no proper PharmD faculty who can teach us properly, or even if there is a faculty, they are not getting good salary, so they are not that much bothered to teach us properly. Or even if all facilities are there, they are not encouraging us to go to the hospital and do our duty properly. And even if they are encouraging us to go to the hospital and do our duty, there are situations in which the hospital scenario is not at all good. They are not at all supporting our role. And obviously, there are a lot of challenges which I'll come in future. So please remember, nobody is bothered about your career. They are only bothered about your grades, your achievements. For example, if you are a rank holder, the institution will make a publication that yes, a student from our college has got a gold medal, or the student from our college has become the university topper. It is their publicity, but it is your hard work. So that's why please remember that it is you who has to realize what you have to do for yourself. So in this presentation, we will talk about pharmacy practice amendment regulation. Actually, I won't talk about the first topic that much because most of you have the circular with you, so you know what is written in that. I will directly come to challenges in ensuring optimal practical training. What are the solutions to those challenges? Roles and responsibilities of PharmD students in hospital, a sample methodology for hospital training, and the conclusion. Now, please remember that this presentation is going to be a bit long because I will be explaining a lot of things with examples, because it is very easy to read a presentation, but it is very difficult to make you understand, because for that personal experience is very important also. This is the pharmacy practice amendment regulation. So they have made a change in which they have explained the role of a drug information pharmacist and what is the responsibility of a clinical pharmacist. So this is the role of a drug information pharmacist. They provide information and all this blah blah, all these things you can read it for yourself. I don't need to explain all these things because it's just a waste of time. You can read the circular also for details. Now, whatever things the PCI, the Pharmacy Council of India, has mentioned in their amendment, in order to achieve those things, there needs to be two things. Number one, skill enhancement, and number two, practical productivity. Skill enhancement means the department or the hospital is encouraging you or going with you to the hospital to make you understand cases, the practical real life scenario, and making you understand things. That is called skill enhancement. And once you develop that skill, then when you are working as a professional or an intern in any hospital or you are doing your training, you will start working on your basics and become the best. And unfortunately, in India, in most of the hospitals or colleges, as I said before, PharmD is just a business and it is a disaster. And this can be ensured by effective internship training. And it's not just internship training, it can be clerkship training also, it can be pharmacotherapeutic practical training also. Proper roadmap as in which direction to go. What is happening is that there is a owner, an owner is opening the cow shed and telling all the cows to go outside and start grazing the grass. And all the cows are going outside and they are grazing the grass also. It is not an issue, but they are not shown the proper way. Somebody is grazing in somebody's backyard. Somebody is not grazing at all. Some people don't know how to graze also. So that is the scenario that is happening with PharmD students or interns. They are being told that according to the PharmD or the PCI regulation, every year from second year, you have to go to the hospital and take cases. And you are asked that you have to fill this many forms, you have to fill this form, that form, and bring it to me. But you are not being told how to fill those forms, what is the relevance of those forms, and how you can utilize those knowledge to build up your career. So that is the issue. That is called proper roadmap. There should be a roadmap as in which direction to go. Knowledge as in how to attain the objectives of PharmD job aspirations. Most of the interns, especially I also had that problem. When I was in my internship also, I was very, very tensed as what I will do in my career. And I faced a lot of ups and downs also. On this platform, I'm not saying because I have achieved millions of dollars or something, or I have achieved a lot of money, a lot of things, and that's why I'm saying this. I am still going through the struggling phase. And that is why I understand your struggles and I am here to support you in the best way that I can. Transmission of productive internship practices to future batches to follow. In most of your hospitals, there may be interns, but I can tell you most of the interns know nothing. And since they don't know anything, what will they guide the juniors? When the juniors go to the hospital, they are saying that the interns are doing nothing. So the juniors will also feel that, okay, let us also do nothing. And this legacy is going on and on. So now we are going to talk about the challenges of proper hospital training. The first challenge is lack of manpower to handle students effectively. I am not naming any particular college, although I know many colleges where PharmD is just a bullshit. But in many colleges, we see that there is no proper PharmD faculty to guide PharmD students. See, I always believe in the philosophy. Like, for example, I go to the ICU, I see cases, whatever it is. I see a lot of cases in which there are people suffering from cancer. They are becoming irritated. They are having severe pain. They are crying. They are on the last stage of their lives. They are in too much of mental distress. So when I see from outside, I feel that when I see from outside, I can see their pain. I can feel bad for them, but I can never understand their pain unless the same thing happens to me. Similarly, a PharmD faculty can properly understand the needs and requirements of a PharmD student. And I am of the personal view that for a PharmD student, a PharmD faculty is always the best. I'm not saying the other faculties doesn't make any sense. Obviously, their experience, if they are PhD holders or they have done a lot of achievements in their life, that also matters. But I still believe that a PharmD faculty, if that person is having proper knowledge, they can bring the best in many students. But unfortunately, in many colleges, that is not the scenario. We don't have a proper PharmD faculty, or in some situations, we also see that faculty is there, but the faculty is overburdened with lot of subjects. So he or she is not able to justify any of them. And as a result, the student's career becomes zero. So limited number of faculties increases challenges for ensuring that training is conducted smoothly. Now, if we consider a hospital scenario, according to the rules and regulations, there should be a drug information center. And that drug information center should be well established. For example, we should have proper databases, drug information database, for example, Micromedex, Lexicon, some of the examples you may know. We should have a proper library inside that, which consists of updated books. For example, you are in the rounds and the doctor is telling you to find out something. You don't have to run to the college, or you don't have to run here and there to find. If there is a proper drug information center with properly equipped systems and books, you can find out the answers and revert it back. But in most of the colleges, a drug information center is a very big dream. Or maybe that drug information center comes during inspection times. When there is an inspection, there will be a drug information center, and after the inspection is over and they get the license or certification, that drug information center is vanished. So the problem is that when there is a drug information center, there should be a person who is in charge of the drug information center also. But if the number of faculties in a college is less, and if they don't have proper knowledge, then how will the students study in the hospital properly? So that is also another concern. So I'm not saying that my college is great, but I'm saying that in our college we had a system. Maybe in your also it may be the same. We had specific teachers who worked as DIC in charge. So there was a morning shift and there was an afternoon shift. So for example, if it is a PharmD intern, they have to stay in the hospital for the entire day. So there will be a morning DIC in charge who is looking into what the PharmD students are doing in the hospital, and then the person will go in the afternoon to the college to teach some theory subjects or something, and then in the afternoon somebody else comes. So like this, we had rotational shifts. So, but unfortunately, that is not the scenario in many colleges. Coming to the next challenge that we face, lack of proper guidance and motivation among PharmD students. Recently, I was talking with a PharmD intern who just graduated from his PharmD, and he actually has his own brother who just finished his class 12. So I just asked him, what is he planning to do as part of my curiosity. So he said that that guy is very interested in biology, science, and all these things, life sciences and whatever. So I said that okay, if he is getting MBBS or something like that, it's fine, or else include him into PharmD. And then he immediately said, no, I will not allow him, or I will not suggest him to enroll himself in PharmD. So I asked the reason why, because you yourself have done PharmD, then why are you discouraging him? That time he said the reply, the 6 years that I studied was waste. I didn't learn anything. Or the only thing that I did is clearing my exam, getting my pass certificate. In some subjects, I scored distinction, so I got the distinction letter or designation in my mark sheet. That's the maximum thing I did. I don't know anything else. So this is called lack of motivation. Because when you are a PharmD student or an intern, and you are not motivated from yourself because of the surrounding scenario, obviously you will not say good about your course to others. So who is responsible for this? You are responsible. Along with it, the situations around you. For example, the college is not motivating you properly. The college is not guiding you properly. You don't have proper infrastructure. You don't have proper materials. So obviously you will only study for getting the degree. Once you get the degree, you forget about everything. And this is the sorry story in many scenarios. Multiple scenarios have occurred in which students lose interest in hospital training, thinking that they just have to get through this and get a degree. I have seen many people who are bothered about doctor prefix in their name and they don't know anything else. Anyways, I will come with a very interesting and controversial, that will be a very controversial talk. I will be talking about the relevance of a doctor prefix because it is very easy to get a doctor prefix, but how you maintain that integrity is very important. Some are also of the opinion that job opportunities are scarce and they lose further hope. And this is true. Because in India, you know what is the scenario of PharmD job opportunity. There have been endless number of people, maybe in South India, North India, anywhere, who are on hunger strikes or meeting their respective ministers or MLAs or whoever it is, just to make sure that clinical pharmacist cadre is instituted in maximum hospitals or healthcare sectors. Until now, we don't have a proper government post also. So obviously, job opportunities in India is a very big question, and I agree to that. According to some students, they also regret taking this course and are said to have discouraged other class 12 pass outs from joining this course. In summary, students need proper channelization, as in what is expected from them and how can faculties guide them. That means what you want to do in your career and how can you achieve your goals. For this, faculties and the institution is also important. They should guide properly. And obviously, you should also motivate yourself. Infrastructural deficiency. This is a very, very, very significant demerit that is seen in many colleges. I hope you will agree to this. When you have an inspection in your hospital, or when you have an inspection in your college, you will find that lot of things in your college has changed. New equipments are coming, new materials are coming, everything is coming. Why? Because they want to impress the inspectors, get their green signal, and get the value. Once the inspectors go away, again they come back to the same old fashion. So this is happening in most of the institutions. I'm not saying it is bad, but somehow it is playing with the career of the students, because many students, when they graduate, they know nothing. Assimilation of resources only for inspection purpose only satisfies college goals, but not of a student. And that's why I tell you that PharmD is a business in many colleges. PharmD is not a place of career growth in many colleges. In the case of a PharmD student, the following infrastructure is mandatory. I'm talking about hospital. A well-functioning drug information center, which is equipped with computers, drug information database. I hope you have heard of this name. This is actually a bit costly. So the institution or your college usually gets an institutional access by paying the money, and then the password or whatever it is given to people so that they can access it. A library with updated books in the branches of pharmacy practice, pharmacology, drug information handbooks, and pharmacopoeias. Unfortunately, I was talking to one student, and that student does not know what KD Tripathi is. Because in their library, they don't even have KD Tripathi also, which is one of the basic books of pharmacology, which everybody knows. So that is the sorry state of affair in many areas, which is actually troublesome. Lack of support from other HCPs in hospital. For example, I am telling you that you are not studying properly. You have to study better. Only then you can work in the hospital better. So you took a New Year resolution that from this year, I am going to study better. So you are doing all the study process. You are working on yourself, working on your basics. But when you go to the hospital, with your knowledge, if nobody is respecting you, then what is the point of your knowledge? So that is also another challenge that many students find. For example, you are finding a mistake in a treatment chart in the hospital, and the doctor is showing his or her ego that this is the medicine that I give to all patients and nothing has happened to it. But you have the evidence that this medicine is wrong, but still they will not agree. So in such scenarios, what happens? You lose faith, you lose motivation. You start asking yourself, then why is this course if nobody is respecting what I am saying? How long will other healthcare professionals support us when we are not self-sufficient? For example, you know nothing and you are going in the hospital and you are expecting that doctors will recognize you just because you are a PharmD. That will never happen. And similarly, in some scenarios, even if you have good knowledge also, you go to the hospital, some people in the hospital show ego issues and you are not able to sustain it. So it happens the other way around also. It happens vice versa also. So this is one example that I want to say. Even today also that thing happened. Like for example, I was just seeing a case in which a patient had been given polymyxin B. And polymyxin B is actually a very high range antibiotic. It comes under polypeptide antibiotics, colistin, polymyxin B, these are the examples. And I thought that maybe the patient is having some life-threatening infection, because in life-threatening or very drug-resistant infections only, we usually give this kind of antibiotics. But I saw that the culture report was sterile. Only the WBC count was high, the procalcitonin level was a bit high, and some parameters were high, that's it. When I asked the nurse and the junior resident or whoever it is, what is exactly the rationality behind it? The person is telling me that the patient was having fever spike. That means suddenly the patient developed fever. So that's why we had to give this medicine. So just imagine if you are having fever in between, the doctor will give you polymyxin B, which is a high range antibiotic. You can read about polymyxin B and you will understand how dangerous an antibiotic that is. So when I suggested that this does not make any sense, because polymyxin B, why you have to give? If you want to give an antibiotic, you can give ceftriaxone, or you can give some antibiotic which is not drug resistant and at the same time it is milder. But nobody will listen because it is the clinician's choice. So like this, many challenges I am also facing and I had faced before also. So this sometimes makes me feel bad also, that when I am studying a lot of things, when I had studied a lot of things, and if I'm not able to apply that, then what is the point in studying? But then I group myself up and I try to tell myself that at least my knowledge is increasing, even if it is not having an impact in the physician's brains. So this is one example that I wrote here. I found ceftriaxone. Like you can see this in maximum hospitals. They'll give meropenem, they'll give ceftriaxone, they'll give piperacillin tazobactam, literally for no reason. The patient is not having any evidence of infection. The patient is not showing any symptoms of infection. The culture report is sterile, or maybe the culture report is not showing any organism at all. But still, antibiotics are going on. So what happens with this? In future, when the patient comes with some life-threatening infection, all these antibiotics will become resistant. And finally, what happens? The patient enters into a septic shock and the patient either has a cardiac arrest or the patient passes away. So this is the sorry state of affairs that we are facing. So even with the knowledge that I have, in some scenarios, I have seen where the physician or the healthcare professional is not ready to accept it. And this is a very big challenge. I am not exactly sure about whether you had this kind of exposure, but this is a problem that I personally faced. Because during my internship or during my rounds, I never had an ICU posting and I never had an oncology department posting. Always remember that for a clinical pharmacist, when it comes to organ transplantation, when it comes to cancer chemotherapy, and when it comes to ICU, a clinical pharmacist has a tremendous role to play. Because these three areas are those areas where the risk of drug interactions, where the risk of medication errors, where the risk of side effects, and where the requirement of therapeutic drug monitoring is very important. But unfortunately, in my postings, I never had an ICU posting. I never had an oncology posting also. So that is also another challenge, because from these departments, you actually get to study a lot of things. For example, you can yourself understand how difficult it is to study anti-cancer drugs. Anti-cancer drugs is not a joke. It is literally very tough to study. So for example, if you are posted in oncology department and you are dealing with cancer patients, you are seeing their cases, how lucky you are, because you will literally learn a lot of things. So this is also another problem that many students and interns face. So coming to, so this is one suggestion from my personal side is that PharmD students, PharmD clerkship, PharmD interns should get postings in ICU, should get postings in organ transplantation departments where a lot of immunosuppressants, antimicrobials are given, and also should be posted in chemotherapy or oncology departments, because there also we give oncomedicines which have a risk of drug interactions. So you get to learn a lot of things. So I personally, what happened is, this is just a certificate that I put, and I actually, during my internship for 3 months, I had to go to Kolkata. The reason is because I never got an ICU exposure in my hospital. So for 3 months, I worked in an ICU during my internship. As a part of my internship, I had to work in Kolkata. And this would not have happened if in my hospital, ICU exposure, or from my department, ICU exposure was provided. So these were the challenges that I talked about. All the problems, maybe you may have personal inputs to add to it, please do let me know personally after the class is over. There may be many other challenges also which I may have missed. So coming to the solution, this is in a single sentence I have written the solution. A well-organized PharmD hospital training program with collaborative inputs from interns, faculties, and healthcare professionals in the hospital and relevant infrastructural facility. What does that mean? It means that you should have the proper facilities to perform properly. You should have the proper guidance to perform properly. And you should have the proper knowledge to guide other people also. So if all these parameters come together, then I can definitely tell you that PharmD internship or PharmD clerkship or PharmD hospital training is not a very, very tough thing to do. Now we will come to the roles and responsibilities of PharmD students in a hospital. What are the different things? And PharmD student, when I say, please don't think that it is only for students. It can be for clerkship holders also who are in their 5th year. It can be for PharmD interns also. And it can also be for those people who have graduated and are working in hospitals, including me. Because I always believe that clerkship is just a term, internship is just a term. Because whatever an intern is doing in the hospital, the same thing a 3rd year PharmD can also do in the hospital. The same thing only they do. A PharmD 3rd year student goes to the hospital, takes cases. An intern will also go to the hospital, take cases and analyze them. So that's why I wrote it in a generalized perspective. What are the roles and responsibilities of PharmD students in a hospital?